right, so I feel like this needs to be said, guys. We are not First of all, this is Christian Duke. You're watching Sight Sounds Flavors on YouTube, sightsoundsflavors.com. If at any point in time you like the video, smash that like button. Please subscribe to the channel if you want more music reviews, Karens at the airport, you know what I mean, food tips, food reviews, all that fun stuff, and also leave a comment down below. We, and I say we because I associate myself with people that stand with Mick Mars, people that love Motley Crud, people that love hard rock. A lot of we's going on there, and I usually don't like to talk about we. I like to talk about me because that's the only person that I know for sure that I represent. However, I have been leaving, videos for Dogs of Cheese, which is my review of Motley Crue's new single, Dogs of War, on various Facebook groups and Reddits and what have you. And a lot of people are agreeing with my assessment of the single, which is overproduced, wannabe top 40 sounding, not Motley Crue sounding. And that is not because we stand with Mick Mars. It just so happens that Mick put out music that the critics loved, that performed very well on the charts, and most importantly of all, in my opinion, the fans really took to. The fans really liked. Motley, on the other hand, comes out with this huge kind of guns blazing, we just signed a new record deal. I still don't know what label they signed to. And they come out with this weird picture where Tommy looks like he has a prosthetic leg and like you can't really see their faces, and it's like some road somewhere like in like Death Valley, I don't know, like a lot of red clay. Maybe it's Atlanta, but it's a desert, so probably not. Not really sure like what maybe the prosthetic is because it's like, a war wound, a battle wound. I don't understand. It's very like experimental, like that Tommy Lee solo that he put out a couple of years ago, Andro or Androgynous or something, where he painted his car pink and very Generation Swine, very like overproduced. And here's the deal. Bob Rock, legendary producer that produced the Black Album for Metallica, that produced Dr. Feelgood for Motley, and may have also produced the 94 self-titled, is a very high-powered producer who makes his money, you guessed it, producing. And he said that Motley has never sounded better. To me, look at the source. Now, I don't know if Bob produced this single or not. Doesn't matter. Even in the age of Pro Tools, even in the age where you're like, we don't need a studio, we just need a Macintosh computer, you still need someone like Bob Rock to come out with a song like this. Now, if we were trashing on the single, or we were trashing on Motley because of Mick Mars, we'd be attacking John 5. There's no problem with John 5's guitar work on Dogs of War. He does a good job with the guitar. The guy is a guitar whiz. Does he have the bluesy tone of Mick Mars? No. Could he? Maybe, but it would sound fake in the sense that it would sound forced. It would not be his signature style. You would be able to notice that sort of thing. So there's nothing wrong with his guitar playing. There's nothing wrong with John 5. Most of the people criticizing the track are not criticizing John 5. This may be a perfectly great single for a different band, but not for Motley Crue. Motley Crue fans, we know what we like, and we know what doesn't sound like Motley Crue. Now, I will be honest with you. I don't agree with the Motley Crue fan that says that the 94 album does not sound like Motley, because I love that record. I love John. I think it was a phenomenal production, even though Nikki now says that it was a piece of shit. But the point is, they're kind of right, because that record does not sound like Too Fast for Love. It does not sound like Theater. It does not sound like Shout. I just did those reverse. Does not sound like Theater. Does not sound like Girls. Does not sound like Dr. Feelgood. Does not sound like Angela or Primal Scream from Decade. It's just like this completely different thing. Followed up by another completely different thing, which was Generation Swine. Neither one of those two records really is a Motley Crue record. New Tattoo is 100% a Motley Crue record. Had they put out New Tattoo instead of 94, and had they not fired Vince, they might have had another, top 10, maybe even not number one in 93 or 94, but maybe a top 10, maybe a number 5 or something like that type record. And, you had like White Punks on Dope, and you had just like the Computer song, which was really cool. And my URL, HTTP. I mean, it's just like good, catchy, like sleazy Sunset Strip kind of rock, you know, and that's what Motley Crue is known for. This is 6 a.m. This is 1958. This is Nikki 6. This is him wanting to sound like Rob Zombie or Sisters of Mercy or whatever flavor of the week he happens to have on his iTunes. The reality of the matter is it does not sound like Motley. You don't hear that you don't hear Tommy's drums, first of all. You don't hear the connection between Tommy and Nikki's rhythm section that is so iconic, that sleazy kind of bass. You just don't hear that. And a lot of people are saying that Vince's vocals are suspect because Vince does not sound like that in person. Obviously, in the studio, look, live, you've got, you know, audio tracking and you've got, you know, all sorts of special effects. In the studio, you have even more special effects. But a lot of people are saying that that's just, I mean, live is ambitious enough as it is, but what they did with this song in the studio, good luck Vince singing that live and sounding like that live. It's just not going to happen. And of course, we also have the rumors about Nikki not playing his bass for Mick Mars. So really, look, the two talented musicians in that band have always been Tommy Lee, who nobody has ever questioned his drumming abilities, and Mick Mars, who is basically playing rhythms and leads simultaneously during certain songs. That is impossible. When you go to Motley Crue concerts, you don't hear a guitar backstage playing. It's all Mick Mars. And anybody that says that there's a guitar backstage is either lying or trying to smear Mick Mars. Now, it is possible that they've used a guitar backstage from time to time, but what you hear on a record, Mick can play live in the studio, at a radio station, at a bookstore. It doesn't matter. Acoustic or live, it doesn't matter. And something needs to be said about that. And the fact is, Mick's music that he came out with is just so much better. Critically, from a fan perspective, from a sales perspective, the platforms don't lie. Spotify, iTunes, SoundCloud, everywhere those songs went out, Mick Mars was killing it. Dogs of War, I don't know. You know, I just think there was way too much put into them signing a new record deal, this silly picture they took out in the desert, you know, hyping this up. This was supposed to be the rebuttal. This was supposed to knock Mick Mars into the ropes. And I know it's not the Crew versus Mick. I know it's not Mick versus the Crew. But come on, guys. These guys went at it, you know, in the world of public opinion. Even though they may not be making music to one up the other, that's exactly what's happening. This was supposed to be Motley Crue's response, and Motley Crue dismally, abysmally failed. It was almost like a repeat of the early 90s when Vince was fired, signed to Warner Brothers, put together an all-star band with Steve Stevens, no less, you know, Vicky Fox from Enough's Enough, Dave Marshall, Robbie Crane, put together this killer band. But aside from all those guys, mainly Steve Stevens, Billy Idol's guy, and just put out this record, was on the Pauly Shore movie, was doing like MTV and just killing it. And Motley Crue, a year later, was supposed to come back and just knock Vince into the ropes. And even though it was one of my favorite Crue records, it sold about half as much as Exposed and did not make any movie soundtracks and was on MTV for all of 2 weeks. And their tour got cut short because nobody was going to even like the small halls they were playing. So again, this is a repeat of that, but maybe even worse, because I don't know anybody that's playing Sister of Pain in 2024, whereas the Mick Mars songs, those songs are going to hold up. Those are good songs. I really think that Motley really honestly hugely dropped the ball, and whatever label signed them, they probably want their money back.